it's funny when I don't hate it. I always struggle with the question of, adversity or struggles, because when you genuinely love it, the struggles are really exciting. Like when I was building my dad's liquor store, we lost the right to ship to Texas, which was $5 million in revenue on a $40 million business. And that was devastating to us. And we were the only store being picked on because I was building the fastest internet company. And in wine and liquor, it's state by state regulated, and they can kind of play in that variable. That was heartbreaking to me. It was devastating for a small business that had no capital. But in a weird way, I get, I'll paint a picture. There's always that scene in a movie, I don't know which movie, but I'm sure you've seen this cliche scene where somebody gets punched in the face and the person's trying to knock them out, and the person takes the punch and they're bleeding, and then they kind of like taste the blood and they kind of weirdly like it, and they look back at the other guy or gal and that person knows they're fucked. That's how I think about entrepreneurship. Like, I genuinely like getting beat. I like losing because I think I deserve it, because the one thing that I love about entrepreneurship and capitalism is the merit of it. And I think if you can't be into the journey part, and if your game of being worth it is the money you get and the stuff you buy with it, it's highly unlikely you're gonna be able to put in the effort versus somebody who actually genuinely loves it, which is why the internet allowing you to do stuff around things you like is a very important framework.
Gary, I have one question for you. What are your thoughts on the New York Jets draft picks last night?
I love the pick. I don't know if you saw this, but I just tweeted it. The kid we picked, Quinnen Williams, was doing an interview yesterday. He sneezes during the interview. He says, "God bless you" to himself, and then thanks himself for saying, "God bless you." That's when I knew we picked the right guy.
Gary, good question, man. I'm trying to start thank you. Quick question. So I'm trying to start a marketing agency. I'm already working on it. See, through what you went through, if you go back into
Yep.
20 years ago, what would you do differently, or what can you do?
I got it.
Help somebody like me.
The number one thing that I think you should consider is to work for free. It's the number one thing that I think people with no leverage need to do a lot more, and a lot of people give you advice of not doing stuff for free because you need to know your worth, but to me the market decides your worth. And if nobody knows who you are and nobody cares to work with you, I did an enormous amount of free work for Pepsi, for Gillette. That's what built the foundation of VaynerMedia. So my number one advice for you is to do free work and use that success to leverage more
companies, but for free.
For free.
Okay.
I mean, you should ask to get paid, but if you get 8,000, I love when people get 8,000 no's and then aren't willing to work for free. The market told you. Like, people are like, yo, but my service is worth something. No, it's not. Until people consistently pay for that service at that price, it's not worth, what, because you and your mom decided? Free.
Do you also recommend getting testimonials from them at least?
What's that?
Testimonials?
Of course, but the results, you'll always get testimonials if you actually execute.
Thank you.
The ability to have a relationship with fear is 100% the trait that talks about your ladder of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
My stomach for being wrong is so big that I'm able to be very entrepreneurial. Other people making a mistake in a meeting, in a company, by reading your book and one little thing petrifies them.
Can I build on that?
Please.
Because I think that's exactly right. People ask me, they'll say, what is the one trait that all the people in your show, that you've interviewed or in the book have in common? And people expect to hear, oh, they're resilient, oh, they're optimistic, oh, these kinds of things. The reality is that they all have the ability to withstand rejection. So it's similar. It's in the same side of other side of the coin of fear, right? Which is that if you go to somebody and you say, hey, Gary, I have this great idea. It's this product. We naturally want validation. We want people to say, that's awesome, go do it. But we're really scared of hearing people say, that sucks, who's gonna buy that? That's a dumb idea. And that is actually what stops most people from pursuing their ideas. Or, going to 10 people to raise money, or going to friends and family to ask for support and hearing no, 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 no. I'll tell you a quick story, which is I've had, and this is very, very interesting, I've had a fair number of Mormon entrepreneurs on the show. David Neeleman, Joel Clark of Kodiak Cakes, Davis Smith of Cotopaxi, and others. And to a person, they will all tell you the reason why they do what they do is because they went on a 2-year mission. So if you're a Mormon, you go on a 2-year mission, okay? You're sent to Brazil or wherever. You're knocking on 1,000 doors a week trying to sell a religion to people, and 999 of them are slamming the door in your face. And you've got to be polite and gracious and keep going. And those kids, they come back to Utah or wherever they live at 21, they're ready to take on the world.
Couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I really genuinely believe in the same way that parents think about sending a child to school, more progressive parents think about establishing nonprofit give back DNA. Other parents think it's travel or sport, the way many parents think we're gonna put our kid in sport.
Right.
I genuinely believe the notion of lemonade stand, knock on doors and try to wash cars, getting into that place of no, no, no. And then when they say yes, I mean, my friend Robbie Turnick, big shout out to him, is reminding me that 70% of our childhood, 1st to 8th grade, because that's when we hung out before I moved, like 70% of the summer was washing cars, selling lemonade. In the winter, it snows. I'm trying to rally everybody to shovel. And so it's a no, no, no. And then when somebody says yes, you have to shovel snow for 20 minutes instead of sledding and hot chocolate. And that formed me, and I'm the extreme, but a little bit of it, I think could really help a lot of kids.
I really do. I completely agree. And I think that, and look, I'm a parent. I know you're a parent. I'm not a perfect parent. I'm not, I don't stand up and say, this is the model. And I screw up a lot. There are times where I find myself coddling my kids too. But I really do try and be mindful of this idea that they need to experience loss and failure. And, my kids played baseball before the pandemic, and they would really lose their, they'd lose their minds when they lose the games. And I would say that's part of the game. Like, if you are an amazing baseball player, you're failing 7 times out of 10 at the plate, and you're amazing, which is why
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Hall of Fame. You're a Hall of Famer. You're failing 70% of the time, which is why I think baseball is a great sport, because it's a game of failure. But it's funny, because of the batting 300 and so hard, but this is what's great about sports and why people love it. Hockey missing the net, football dropping the ball, basketball is, shooting percentages, are you kidding me, right? At least 50% of the time, and then some. And so I'm definitely passionate about, from a good place, because I want kids to grow up to be happy, and I do think learning to lose early on is a blessing. Yes.
Macroeconomics are just not necessarily, I don't like to talk about things I don't know, and so, and I don't know if it's a 7th inning or 5th, and it's very hard for anybody to know that. The one thing I would say about this is, when you're not experienced, or you're over ideological, or you think you're remarkably gonna time it, you can become vulnerable. The one thing I would say about this is, whether it's another 12 months or 12 years, always being thoughtful of not being so disproportionately leveraged that when the shit hits the fan, you can't recover from it, or it takes you a long time to recover from it. And so finding that right balance of being on the offense, but having some level of stability, nest egg, like, I'm very passionate about that. I love the idea knowing that every one of my businesses that are substantial could go to 0, and it doesn't cripple me because there's a little bit of a cash nest egg, which gets my financial advisors upset because they're like, you need to be on the offense with this. That for me is peace of mind and allows me to build, to me, the time to really make money is when shit hits the fan. And so just a thought of, like, don't get too high on your own supply when the economy's so good that you get so over leveraged that it takes you to 0.